Dior Sauvage, which was originally released in 2015, has become one of Dior's top-selling men's fragrance lines, and for good reason. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing each of the three types of concentration, the EDT, the EDP, and the Parfum. I'm going to be telling you which situation is most appropriate to wear each, and ultimately I'm going to be telling you which one is my favorite. Let's get into the video. Hey guys, Ryan here with Top Notch Persona, and before I get into the video, I just want to remind you that before you leave, give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't like it, and remember to subscribe to my channel. I talk about fragrance and style related content pretty evenly, so if you enjoy both topics, you're definitely going to enjoy the content on my page. Alright, without further ado, let's get into my review. I have a lot to say about Sauvage. Sauvage was inspired by wild, open spaces and was announced as radically fresh, raw, and noble at the same time, which I definitely agree with. I definitely understand what that means. It's very much your typical clubbing fragrance, or at least the EDT version is. The others are a little more refined, but I'll get into that in a moment. It's very simple yet intense. It's very easy to wear yet alluring, and very reasonably priced, but it actually smells more expensive than it actually is. The perfumer behind this one is Francois Demache, and man, I'll tell you, that guy is probably the best perfumer in the game. He has come up with so many killer fragrances. I feel like Dior almost has an unfair advantage over other perfume houses, because I'm telling you, this guy is the real deal. Like, if I ever made my own perfume, my own fragrance, I would go to that guy because he is that good. I feel like a huge factor that led to the immense success of the Dior Sauvage line was the person they had promoted. So out of everyone they could have chosen, I feel they picked the best person suited for the job. They chose Johnny Depp, who is kind of the epitome of what Dior Sauvage is trying to be, at least the EDT. So the first advertisement they put out was Johnny Depp juxtaposed with a Native American man. Now, this one was ultimately taken down. I guess some people felt it was potentially offensive to Native Americans. Let me know what you think in the comments, because, like, you know, I've seen the ad, and I mean, it seems alright to me, but I mean, maybe, like, you know, if I were a Native American, I would find fault with it. But what they did, they kept the westernized theme, and they made it Johnny Depp kind of driving down the road, and all these cool things like a wolf and, you know, western images coming up. And I feel it was just such a great move. Obviously, Sauvage itself is a top tier fragrance. I feel if it weren't, even if Johnny Depp was there and saying it was great and trying to sell it, it wouldn't have been successful. But the fact that they matched such a great fragrance, Sauvage, with such a great actor, Johnny Depp, just led to immense success with this line. Or that's one of the biggest reasons I feel this one became so successful. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the three different Sauvages in the order that I experienced them. So it's not necessarily going to be EDT, EDP, Parfum. But the first one I did experience was the EDT. Now, when I first got this, I really wasn't expecting a lot. Many influencers, many people online, they were saying that this stuff is super generic, everybody's wearing this, it's kind of cheap smelling. And honestly, I bought this online. It was a blind buy, and I was worried, actually, that, you know, it was going to be a waste of money. But when I got this and I put it on, it didn't even take a day to realize that this stuff is awesome. I don't understand what people online are saying about this. I mean, yeah, maybe it's a little more on the generic side, but it is really, really good. All right, here's the note breakdown. We have at the top we have bergamot and pepper, really good combination. In the middle there's more pepper, vetiver, and patchouli, and a bit of lavender. And at the bottom there's ambroxan and cedar. Now, when I initially apply this, I'll apply it right now, I get a strong rush of the pepper with a little bit of the bergamot. It's very nice. The bergamot is very subtle. It's very peppery. As it begins to dry down, I start to get a lot of the ambroxan, and it definitely has woodsy notes to it, although I can't detect any of the specific woods that are listed as notes. So it's woodsy, but it's not necessarily cedar, or it's not necessarily patchouli. The performance on this thing too is what is so, like, the best part about this, right? It lasts on my skin 12 plus hours easily. It's super intense, and I love the intensity. I mean, yeah, it's not super versatile. I mean, you wouldn't want to wear this one to the office because how intense it is, but it is very, very good, and that intensity leads to phenomenal performance. In terms of projection, I get 1.5 to 2 hours of very good projection, followed by light projection. It doesn't really become a skin scent until around the 8-hour mark, so you really get the value out of this one. All right, it's not that expensive for a 100 ml bottle. It's $95, so not that bad, and what you get out of it is nothing short of amazing. I would actually give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Although my now wife, when I wrote the blog post, it was fiance, but it's now wife, she said this one is a little too intense for her, which I understand how it could be too intense for some people, especially since ambroxan is synthetic, and synthetic fragrances can really bother people, especially if you're sensitive. So maybe if you're not, you don't love that that synthetic smell, the ambroxan is going to be too much for you with this. But if you're fine with it and you like ambroxan, this one is going to be phenomenal. And I love wearing this one. As you might be able to see, I've used about half of the bottle in a few months. Very good fragrance, and perfect clubbing scent. The EDT of Sauvage. So I think the best time to wear the EDT would be casually. So you're hanging out with friends, or you're going somewhere outside. Maybe you're going downtown, and you're going to be around a lot of people. I feel that the projection and performance of the EDT makes it the best choice for that kind of environment. I definitely wouldn't wear it to an office, as noted. Indoors, you need to be careful with this one because it is a beast in terms of projection, and it can be intense, and you don't want to offend people by wearing this. And if you're indoors, I mean, maybe if it's a big area, you don't have to worry about that, but like a classroom or something, I definitely would not go for this one. So the next Sauvage I experienced was actually the Parfum. So I skipped the EDP and went right to the Parfum. The Parfum is a totally different formulation of Sauvage. In fact, I would say everything that made the original Sauvage is taken out of this one. Alright, so at the top there's of course still the signature Dior bergamot with mandarin orange. In the middle there's sandalwood, and at the base there's vanilla and tonka bean, which gives it a nice sweetness. I'll apply it. Alright, when I first spray it on, I get a creamsicle-like vibe with the mandarin orange and the vanilla with a bit of the sandalwood. The sandalwood is very subtle at first, but as the fragrance dries down, it becomes the primary player in this one. In fact, it's almost the only one I can detect after, I'd say, about an hour or so. In terms of projection, this one is super light. You're maybe going to get an hour out of this. After that, it becomes almost a skin scent. It does last 8 hours, so you could wear this one to work, put this on in the morning, and you know, it would be good. You'd be good all day. But it's definitely not going to be very detectable, which does make it ideal for the office, I guess, because, you know, if you're really close to somebody working with clients or whatever, they're probably going to notice this. But if you're in like a conference room or something, you're not going to stand out with this one. Another, I'd say, fault with the Parfum is how linear it is. So unlike the EDT, which, you know, changes throughout the life of the fragrance, right? So it's very bright in the opening, then you get the ambroxan, and then you get the woodsy notes. This one, you know, at first you get the citrus, afterwards you get the sandalwood, and I love sandalwood. It's a super refined note. It always smells good. You know, if a fragrance has sandalwood, I'm going to love it. And I do love this one. It's just not my go-to. And as you can see here, compared to the EDT, I've barely touched this one. Now, this one is about twice as expensive. So for 100 ml, it's going to be $150. And that has kind of made me not use it as much, especially because I haven't actually been going to the office. But even if I were going out, I probably wouldn't choose this one, or this wouldn't be my top choice, just because of how subtle it is. So overall, I originally gave the Parfum an 8 out of 10. But in revisiting it in my follow-up post, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because it really is a nice scent, and it's pleasant and it's relaxing. It's just, you know, to me, there's the most faults with the Parfum, and that's why it's not my favorite. So after I bought the Parfum, I was pretty much done with Sauvage. I wasn't going to get the EDP because, based on what I heard, it was kind of a slight reformulation of the EDT, so I didn't feel like I needed to get it. But I actually got a sample from Macy's. They sent one of those catalogs with different fragrances in it, and it had the EDP in there. And I smelt that, and I was like, I was intrigued. I was like, I need to try this one out. Maybe I won't love it, but I just want to give this one a go. And I can say that I am so glad I decided to give this one a shot. So it definitely is a multi-dimensional take on the original EDT. It still has that ambroxan, and it still has that pepper, but it's reformulated in a sweeter way that kind of makes it more mellow, more pleasant, more refined. It's described as being enveloping, suave, mysterious, and sensual. I would emphasize sensual. I think this one is super sexy. If you're going on a date, or if I were going on a date, if I weren't married and I were going on a first date, I would grab this one. This one would just blow your date away. It will blow your date away, trust me, because it still retains some of that intensity of the EDT, but it takes some of the refinement from the Parfum. And obviously this one came out a year before the Parfum, so it actually didn't take it from the Parfum. But I'm just saying, as somebody who tried the Parfum and EDT first, this one is the best of both worlds. So the composition, as I just said, is basically, it's very similar to the EDT, but does have certain nuances. So at the top we have bergamot, I believe just bergamot. In the middle there's the pepper, there's nutmeg, and there's lavender. And at the bottom there's ambroxan and vanilla. So the main notes that are new are the nutmeg and the vanilla, and I would say the lavender is a lot more detectable in this one than it is with the EDP. So mysterious is definitely a great way to describe this one. Let me apply it. And so yeah, definitely at first I get a certain sweetness that isn't really in the EDT. It's definitely more refined. It's I get a lot of the bergamot. There's a fruity essence about it when I first apply it, mixed with the vanilla. So almost like that creamsicle like vibe that I noted about the parfum. As it begins to dry down, I get the vanilla, and the ambroxan really starts to come through. There's definitely woodsy notes, a woodsy quality about it, like with the EDT, but it's not as intense or in your face. So the pepper is very much a secondary player in this. It's there, but it's not like, you don't detect it as soon as someone walks in the room. So this one, I think, would be perfect to wear casually. Like I just said, a date. This one is going to blow your date away. Or you could wear this one to the office. So this one, I would say, super versatile, any situation, any kind of weather, because it is more towards the lighter side. So I'd say it's more towards the parfum performance, but it is better. But it doesn't project. It doesn't have the beastly projection like the EDT has. So I probably wouldn't throw this on if I were going to, say, a concert or an outdoor event, or I was hanging out downtown with friends, just because I could see this one being easily subsumed by another fragrance, like an EDT type fragrance, like the Sauvage EDT or Versace Eros. But yeah, this one is just great. I am so glad that I decided to get it, because it is absolutely one of the best fragrances I've experienced in my now, like, I've really been doing this for like 3 years, experiencing different fragrances. This one is a perfect 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It's not going to give you the same amount of performance as the EDT, so I get about 10 hours, which is still good, really good. In terms of projection, the first hour, maybe hour and a half, it's pretty strong, and then it's just subtle. It becomes a skin scent probably around the 4-hour mark. So it's definitely one I would reapply as the day progresses. As you can tell with this, I've probably used this one more than the EDT, because of just how versatile it is. So like a lot of times I'm not going, to concerts or to outdoor events or to places that I really need something to really project. I'm more so in places like, like coffee shops and libraries, like quieter venues, that something like this is perfect in. So which Sauvage is my favorite? Guys, this really close. They're all phenomenal fragrances. I love all of them for different reasons, but I just have to say that the EDP is my favorite. I can't get over how sexy and how great this fragrance is. I absolutely love it, and I know this is going to vary from person to person, and just because I love it and it works so well on me doesn't necessarily mean you will. But guys, let me know in the comments. I'm interested. Which is your favorite Sauvage? What's your overall opinion of the line? How do you think the marketing for it was? Like, do you think Johnny Depp was really a great person to kind of promote this line? Let me know how you feel about this one. I know that why it's not necessarily polarizing, but you know, there's certain people that think it's generic, and there's certain people that tend to, you know, absolutely love it, like myself. But just let me know in the comments, alright? That's going to do it for my review on the Dior Sauvage line. I hope you enjoyed the material and perhaps learned something from it. Maybe you want to go out and try Sauvage now if you haven't already. But remember, before you leave, give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. But guys, remember that when you look and smell your best, you feel your best. And that's what matters.